Shalom, everyone. Welcome to NETIV Online. This is going to be a brief study on the Parsha Tetzaveh, and I just want to remind you, don't forget to subscribe. It's very important to us and to you because it's going to provide you the opportunity to see our videos as we post them up. In this week's Torah portion, we continue the narrative that we had starting just a last couple of portions, the building of the Mishkan, which is known as the tabernacle. We learn about the roles and responsibility of the priest, which are called Kohanim, who actually do the service in the temple. The name Tetzaveh comes from the Hebrew word tzav, meaning to command. This reflects the commandment to Moses to instruct the people about the details of the Mishkan service. Now, I'm doing this overview, I want you to think about the stuff that we were talking about before, and I want to see if you can see something. One of the keys of the themes of the Parsha is the sanctification of the priest and the special garments they must wear. In this portion, we see the instructions for the clothing of Aaron and his sons, the high priest and his sons. The priests perpetually will always follow these instructions for their garments. Now, these garments are not just show. They weren't there to bring, what do you call it, beauty to Aaron and his priest, but it was to be it had a function. That's the best way to say it. Now we know that they are symbolic or representative of holiness. On the outside, we understand it's pure linen, it's white, it represents purity and holiness. That makes sense. And it was required for the Mishkan. Each item of the clothing, such as the ephod, the breastplate and tunic, carries spiritual significance, metaphorical significance, but it also reflects on the need for purity and sanctity in the service of God. Why is this so important? We're going to answer that. It is important because the lesson here for us all, and that is the garments of the Kohanim symbolizes the idea that every aspect of our lives can be infused with holiness. It should be infused with holiness. Why? Because we are spiritual beings living in a physical body, and that holiness should come out from that and be displayed in our body, in our lifestyle, in our mitzvahs, etc., etc. Even as we've learned, even in our mundane tasks, there is opportunity to elevate ourselves and to make those actions meaningful. This morning, my wife said that she went to Walmart. She goes early, trust me. And she was there, and somehow she got in a conversation with a lady who says, I'm trying to better myself. I had to cut back my hours. I have children. I can't work full time with children, and I'm a single parent, so I have to do it while they're in school. But I'm thinking, I'm trying to start a side business. And I'm just so fearful that it's not going to work. And my wife doesn't know the lady at all. And she said, you know what? It'll work if you want it to work. And if you work hard at it, you'll achieve it. And I believe you can do it. The woman teared up. Teared up. That's what we're talking about. Even in the mundane task of life, there is an opportunity to bring out holiness and beauty in this physical world. That's what we're here for. We're here to infuse Hashem into the world, infuse the beauty of Hashem in the world. Another significant part of the Parsha commandment is about the olive oil, if you remember. Now, they were to bring the oil for the purpose of lighting the menorah. Now, we're not going to go in time to all of the mystical meanings behind the menorah. We can do that in the discussion. But the lighting of the menorah is very important because in that space, no menorah, no light. So the menorah also not only represented God's eternal light, but also the light that we are to emit in our lives. Now we learn from the text the oil has got to be beaten and pure, which teaches us the idea that the best offerings to God must be made with intense effort, with sincerity, with utmost attention to detail. I'm not sure that if any of you have actually seen how olive oil is made in the old age. Now, I have understood that the olive oil prepared for the temple is different than the olive oil that we pour on our food. It's the way it was done. And maybe Rabbi Abner can give us a little bit more detail on that when we come to it. But the idea is that olive oil in itself, not necessarily for the temple, but for our eating and drinking, it goes in, after it's ground with a big stone, they put it in these baskets and they have a huge crank and they crank it down and they press it. They just keep pressing it, pressing and pressing and pressing until all of the oil is eked out. We have to remind ourselves that in our daily lives, that our spiritual work, whether prayer, good deeds, learning, should be done with dedication and care. I would even take it as further than that. That whenever we find ourselves oppressed by some type of affliction, some type of stress or trouble, some type of difficulty, we as spiritual beings need to understand that this is for us to squeeze out the oil of what do you call it? The oil that provides us the light to shine. So whenever we go through suffering, we understand that. There's a dear student that belongs to this community here who's going through a terrific battle with cancer. And the doctors gave her 3 months a year and a half ago. She's still in our class. And she's doing everything she can to better herself. She also said something very beautiful to me that I've pondered all day, yesterday and today, this morning. She said, there are times that I lay in my bed at night and I think, but I like to just go ahead and go because this is going to be hard. Like if it's all right if I just go ahead and die and be with my family and be with those that I haven't seen and understand things that I didn't understand and wouldn't understand, and to be able to study for eternity in that other place. And then she said to me, well, I also have family here. I have a life here, and I need to try to use it up as much as I can while I'm here. I love that. It was a great explanation. And she came into this understanding, and she has this understanding that I'm dwelling here on this earth to do everything I can to return back to the Holy One what He has placed within me. And just as the olive oil or the olives that grows on trees that were created by the Master of the universe before we came here, that we understand that the trees before the beautiful oil comes out of the olive has to be pressed. It has to be crushed. It's important for us to understand that. Tetzaveh also um, highlights the importance of the priest's role between the people and God. And I would like to say this right now, and it's important. Oftentimes we hear the term the priest was an intermediary. I don't like using that term, and I'm going to explain to you why. Though they were an intermediary at some level. I don't like using the term because every Christian will say, you see, that's, JC's our intermediary, right? He's our priest. That's why I changed the word that I originally typed into my notes, that this is the priest's role between the people and God. Now, while this role is really specific, to the Jewish people, as people of the nations, we can think about the role that we play in the world. Now, every Jew, and Rabbi Avner is here with us. He's Jewish. He's a Jewish man. He's our rabbi. He has a distinct, separate role in the world, and that is to be a teacher, to be a priest to the nations. The High Kohen Gadol, and when the priesthood is reestablished, they will have the role to officiate and represent the people before the throne of God. The Jewish people have a role to also uh, conduct their lives in such a way that the people of the nations can be elevated. So as the priests do their job, their role, the nation of Israel is elevated, and as the Jewish people are elevated and become closer in their understanding and walk with Hashem, so shall the nations follow. Thank God. That's why we should pray for the peace of Israel and pray for every Jew to come to the knowledge of God and to begin to live it. Now, just as the priests were essential in the spiritual life of Israel, so too can we contribute to the spiritual well-being of the world around us. We should be challenging ourselves every day to wake up and ask ourselves, what am I going to do to contribute to the well-being of the people around me? How can I inspire those people that are around me? Oftentimes, uh, people like us, we get involved in the challenge and the excitement of studying the Torah and the theological and philosophical pursuits of the Torah, and we forget that our purpose is actually to push that out to the world in our actions. Now, as righteous people of the nations, we can learn from this parsha, Tetzaveh. The value of intention is important to understand. The value of intention in our actions, the holiness in our everyday life, and the importance of supporting and guiding others towards spiritual growth, we cannot underestimate. This is why we attempt to improve ourselves spiritually at all times. Because if I am not psychologically healthy, physically healthy, and spiritually healthy, how can I assist others? The thing that we learn in Tetzaveh is, how could the priest do what they were supposed to do for the nation of Israel if they didn't do all of the intricate details to be presentable before God? How can we bring light into the world until we have paid attention to the details of what our role is? Our role is not to be the priest. Our role is not to be Jewish. Our role is to be us, to be the nations, to be the people that will finally join in with the Jewish people, to join in with our ancestors and the Jewish people all the way back to Abraham, that helped to bring light into this world until redemption come. I really appreciate you guys joining the class today and um, watching the class if you're on YouTube. I hope and pray that as the days go on, that we can begin to feel so hopeful and excited about the future, because redemption is coming, guys, whether you like it or not, and whether you participate in it or not, it's coming. So what can we do to sanctify this Mishkan, as Tar was talking about earlier? This is the dwelling place of the Almighty in our lives. His divine essence is being soaked into every fiber of our neshama, our soul, that dwells within this earth suit called a body. And this body, this earth suit, helps us achieve what the neshama needs to sanctify itself. Isn't that a beautiful idea? That's what we've learned from Tetzaveh. let's open the floor up for some discussion. Rabbi?
I want to support a verse that supports everything you say, and also what Tar said earlier. It says, and you should command, and they will bring to you oil katit. Katit is cut, very purified. Katit is kaf tav, yud tav, katit. Kaf, Tav kaf, 420, the time of the second temple, and Yud Tav, the first temple. In one verse, like we had last week, here is one word carries the years of the first temple and the second temple, and also the message that those temples will be destroyed, cut. What about the third one? The same question we asked last week. It says, Lama'or, to shine light. So the third temple is in our heart to shine out. So when we build the temple in our heart, we shine Torah to the world and we change it. As we said in quantum physics, we change it. Now the question is that the commentary discuss. So why Moses? Why do you go to Moses? There are other people can do oil and so on. The oil that the base that from the oil come out the candle and the light in your heart is emunah faith. The faith should be pure. It was easy to take Israel out of Egypt, but it was not easy to take Egypt out of Israel. Here the golden calf. So the temple was built in order to take Egypt out as far as possible from Israelite and to couch them forward. Now we don't need a house, we need Torah. But this is a metaphor for when anybody come out from idolatry, when you join Moses, the message is you need to be very careful not to sleep with you trait and fascination.
Not to what? I couldn't understand.
Not to carry, sleep in Yiddish.
Yeah.
Not to carry with you, drag with you, some fascinations and ideas from your former life. It is extremely difficult. Israel could do it easily. And Noahide should also take this as a metaphor. And you scrutinize yourself whenever you talk about prophecies, about this and that. You need to have an idea when you join Moses. Moses said there is only one God, and nothing else. Okay, no Satan, no angel, no this power, no this power, nothing else, just God and oneness. Hashem Elohim oneness. And od milvado. There is nothing else beside him. And that's the idea of pure faith, which even Israel had a hard time to digest or to abide with. Then look at the golden calf. It's a battle because whenever we go out from one state of mind to another state of mind, who can take? It's very difficult to change your thinking and to become adapt to pure faith. Uh, so that I want to share with you.
That's beautiful. I really appreciate you bringing that verse up because once again, um, we've had this discussion the other night um, of how deep the Torah is, not only in its mathematics, etc., but if you really want to understand the Torah, you have to know the language. You have to understand Hebrew. And to understand Hebrew is to understand what Rabbi Avner was saying, that uh, the text tells you what this means. I mean, the what do you call this? Not the sod. What is it? The the highest level of understanding is not the Hebrew letters. It's what the Hebrew letters are telling you, and it's oftentimes missed by just reading it in English. That's what I'm saying.